quiet saying my name. There are the weights, where is the balance? Maybe everyone's to blame. My heart and my mind have been with me always, but not long enough to keep them in line. It's true that my mind is both good and bad days, but my heart wins every time. I feel a fire, I see a flame, set me alight, bring me desire, bottled up tight. Cage in the ocean, dousing the sun down at the sky, bring me emotion, bottled up tight. When I count the people who walk by, imagine that path crossing with mine. And maybe it's true, part of a bloodline, 'cause we walk like we're pretty much blind. Fire, I see a flame, set me alight, bring me desire. Cage in the ocean, dousing the sun down at the sky, emotion, bottled up tight.
Сколько мы друг друга знаем?
10 лет.
А сколько мы общаемся? Лет
6, наверное.
Hold up, wait a minute, homie, let that beat breathe. I came here to fucking kill it, let me do my thing, please. I've been eating all this cheese. Oh, that buzz is coming, I can hear the bees. Looking like a forest fire, the way I burn these trees. Like no matter the topic, space shuttle or rocket, double XL pants still running out of pocket. Just my wallet and chronic maximum volume. I'm already beyond it. This tropic hydroponics are evolved composite. If we talking about the money, I take the direct deposit. Autopilot above the skyrim, searching for comets or just something to call my own. Drifting in my mental space, feeling all alone. Set the craft to orbit, then I sip on my Patron. Prone to error, but I dismember your monarch, then I take your fucking throne. No joke, I'm coming home with the go, coming home with the rollie that's got all the stones fucking long like I'm Gotti. You can hear all the moans, all the moans, all the.
There's a kid outside talking very loudly. Anyway, I'm gonna close the window. I wanted to let you know that the next video, or the one after that, is gonna be a Q&A video. I'll probably not have many Q&As in the future, so ask ahead. There are way more things you can ask me than my favorite movie that I don't even think I have. Thirdly, I'll add a little twist to the Q&A. The more questions you'll ask me, the more awkward the Q&A is gonna be. So if you ask me very little questions, I will probably make the Q&A at home, right here, with a piano behind me. I wish I could play piano. And the more questions you ask me, the closer I will be to the city center of Moscow. I will be standing there with my camera in front of me, speaking English to the camera, with people passing by and watching me. So that could be exciting for you to watch, I assume. And I honestly have no idea what to name this video. My very first video was what's on my iPhone video. And this video right now is a video a year and a half later. I kind of have to hurry up because I have 202 applications on my phone. Anywho, I have to rush through these things because 202 apps. I will be skipping through some of the apps because I have already talked about them in my very first video that I would actually not recommend you go watch. It's actually a pretty shitty video in my opinion. So this is my home screen. These would be the apps that I would be using most often. It makes sense that the currency application and the translate application are on here, as well as social media apps. I try to listen to more Danish radio, so I will not be forgetting it. YouTube is not as fulfilling to watch as TED Talks, for example. On the very bottom we have 1 second every day. That's the app that I just started using, where I literally record 1 second every day. By the end of the year, I'll have about 6.5 minutes of content. Swipes is my main task managing application. Spark is my favorite email client. And next I use to calculate how much money I've spent on what. So let's say I've spent £3 on coffee. I just track it like that. It's as simple as that. Swarm is the application that I use to check into places, and it's useful in cases when I'm trying to remember a cafe that I went to 2 weeks ago, but I can't remember the name of it. This page is slightly more cluttered, but there is structure to it. I'll try to do this as quick as possible, I promise. And I'll try to focus on the applications that I actually use. The rest, I'll try to find excuses. Trainline is the app that I use to buy tickets for and track trains in the UK. Foursquare is the app that I use to find cafes around me. Google Maps, self-explanatory. Momondo is pretty much the only app that I use to buy tickets, but if I don't like the prices, I check Skyscanner sometimes. Hopper is a really useful application that I would recommend you download. It's not necessarily the cheapest way of buying tickets. It's pretty cool. For example, you type in where you want to travel to and it tells you when to buy the tickets exactly, but its pricing is very off. It says that it costs £155 to go there and back. Now if I go in Momondo, the exact same trip is gonna cost me £40. What? But Hopper is useful in the way that it sends you notifications on when it's best to buy tickets or if it's best to wait. These applications I use mostly in Moscow. Moscow Metro, also an app for planning a metro trip. However, I cannot figure out the user interface, so it's just an app that tells me when a station is closed or open by a push notification. Last year I even started a segment called Applications... the app for when. Whoops. Shite. I unplugged the phone. Landed is one of the most useless applications. If you travel without doing any background checks on what currency the country is using and what language they're speaking, that's the app for you. Let's say I just landed in Moscow in Russia, and it tells me the temperature in Moscow, tells me about the way to get around in Moscow and which SIM card to get. Like, you know, sometimes you can buy a map where you scratch out the countries you've been to, or you can buy a map and like pinpoint different places you've been to. Well, that's the digital version of that. It tells you to how much of the world you've actually been to, percent-wise. I don't know what this page is called, but maybe it's for London. That I need to delete. I'm minus one app. 201 apps now. This page is the most ridiculous page. If I want to save a boarding pass on my phone in Passbook, no, it's not called Passbook, it's called Wallet now, I need to own the application of the airline that will then provide me with the boarding pass for my flight. This page presumably is for airports. That's for Snowdonia. That's the mountains around Wales where I live. Sometimes maybe I'll go back to Denmark and I can use the transport stuff around there. Now these are games. Durak is a Russian card game. Everlasting Summer. If you like story-based games, this is the one to play, and I think there is like 8 or 12 outcomes in the game, and you can play it both in Russian and in English. Monument Valley 2 just came out, and these are my games for the Apple Watch. AppleInsider.ru is the Apple News service in Russia. Amazon Prime Video, just because I have Amazon Prime included. MindNote is also a productivity app, but if you like mind maps, then this app is for you. Tides Near Me is very useful for me in the UK, because once I've gone down a beach and I couldn't come back because the tide was up, so now I can use the app to track the tides. Life Cycle tells me how much time I spend where. So today I spent 8 hours at home and 8 hours sleeping. Wow, that's kind of embarrassing. I've spent 402 hours at home and 222 hours sleeping, and the rest, wow, I've only spent 1 hour eating out. Read Quick lets you read articles really quick. Ancestry lets you create like the tree of your family, the phylogenetic tree. Vivino is an app to scan and check wines. CNN sends me notifications about Trump. Yo-yo tricks. I can yo-yo once in a while. Frøken Kobo is an app with Danish recipes. Pocket, I save some articles in there that I always forget to read. That's my photography folder. Skylive and Night Sky, I use both of these apps to track the weather conditions and the sky conditions for astrophotography. Living Planet lets you make videos and photos of a little planet, just like they show on here, but never as pretty. Scanner Plus Pro and Photoscan from Google let you scan photos and documents. In the Everyday app, I take a picture of myself every day. aligning. Ooh, so pretty. And now I have a whole ton of Georges. These are my bank apps. Splitwise, that is an app you need if you live together with people. I live together with 3 people, and type in into the app how much who owes who, and it does all the calculations. So I see that Katie owes me about £5 and Kanan owes me £74. Kanan. If you're watching me from the UK and you have 3 as a provider, then 3 they have a separate app that's called OneTwo. What day is it today? It's Wednesday. Every Thursday they're giving away free stuff on the apps. I've already won chocolates and they're giving away cinema tickets and stuff. Fancy is like Pinterest, but you can actually buy stuff on there. OKVPN, the one on top left, is the only decent free app that I found as a VPN client, free VPN client for the phone. Tally is an app that does exactly what it tells you. OpenSignal, I basically use it for the speed test, but if you have a map, here's the coverage. It tells you where the best coverage in your location is. Now you know where I live. I'll have to blur that out. Hours is a way of tracking your activities. So if I sit down and I start working on my dissertation, I click on the little clock and it keeps ticking. By the end, let's say it says 2 hours, so I've spent 2 hours on the dissertation and adds that to the total sum. Useful for people that are working hour-based. I have it creates recipes. It's difficult to explain, so I post the photo to Instagram. This app makes it so the photo from Instagram is posted as a photo on my Twitter feed. Or let's say every time I check into an airport using the Swarm app, it sends me a notification that I need to call my bank and notify me that I'm leaving the country so I can use my credit cards outside of the country. Unroll me. Ton of subscriptions in your email. This thing is free and it lets you unsubscribe from stuff just like in Tinder. These are my social application apps. I've mentioned it several times, but Be My Eyes is an app that lets you help blind people. There are 2 types of users in the app. There is approximately 500,000 sighted users and 36,000 blind users. And when a blind user wants to pick a sweater, let's say, that is red and not black, they launch the app, they point the camera at the 2 sweaters and you help them pick which one is the red one and which one is the black one. Or if they need to see the expiration date on the milk, they also point the app at the milk and you help them figure out when the expiration date is. And is an app that Mary introduced me to. It lets you upload photos to the app and then see how they're gonna look together with your Instagram feed. These are my services apps. Blogbear. You should get Blogbear because, again, no one's sponsoring me. Blogbear is the only free, actually working ad blocker on the App Store that I have found so far. Cascable. I did a whole video on Cascable. I don't need to explain what this is. You can watch it up here. CNET Tech Today is also self-explanatory. Every day they post 10 stories about tech that I have to know about. Sleep Cycle is the app that I've used since 2014. It tracks my sleep every single night. As you can see, last night I went to sleep at 7 a.m. and I woke up at a bit past 2 p.m. Now Lucky Trip, that is awesome. In the app, you set a certain budget, let's say £150. That is how much you can spend in a little holiday. You click on Lucky and the app searches for the cheapest ways of traveling. I can travel from the UK to Venice for 2 nights for £138 and stay in this place and do these things, all of that for £138. Or I can go to Slovenia for 3 nights and stay at this place and do these things, and it's all included in the price of £122. And these are the apps that I still haven't sorted out into these folders. Let's see if I can shrink all of this information down to 10 minutes. Again, don't forget about the Q&A.
I came here to fucking kill it, let me do my thing, please. I've been eating all this cheese. Oh, that buzz is coming, I can hear the beats. Looking like a force by the way I burn these trees. 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 Yeah. The way I burn these trees. The way I burn these trees.